Amazing moment revealed. Waitress speaks Japanese, changing a millionaire's life forever. In the heart of a vibrant, bustling small town, Joanie poured coffee with a smile that could light up the grimiest of mornings. The diner, her stage and sanctuary, was alive with chatter, the aroma of sizzling bacon wafting through the air. A proud veteran's tales hung above her like an anchor, weaving strength and resilience into her daily routine, as she juggled caring for her grandmother with the demands of her job. Every cup she served held a sliver of hope, every smile a piece of the love she invested in the community. But that sunny afternoon brought something unexpected. Tyler, a wealthy businessman, strolled in, his air of entitlement radiating through the diner. He glanced disdainfully at the mismatched booths and the busy kitchen where locals shared stories over greasy plates. For a moment he was lost in the chaos, a stark contrast to his polished corporate world. Then, like a bolt from the blue, Joanie, with her vibrant blue apron, approached him. She greeted him with a confident grin, presenting the daily special. "Maybe you'd like to try some teriyaki chicken? It's from a recipe passed down in my family." To his surprise, she continued in fluid Japanese, the words dancing off her lips. Tyler blinked, snapped out of his judgment, and suddenly she was no longer just a waitress but someone intriguing and rare. "Wait, you speak Japanese?" he stammered. A connection flickered, unexpected and electrifying. It broke through the barrier of class and privilege he had built around himself. As their conversations unfolded, Joanie shared her story. She spoke of her grandmother's strength, the evenings spent together over bowls of rice, and dreams of leaving the diner's hectic world behind. Tyler listened, captivated, with each detail pulling at his heartstrings. Meanwhile, the weight of his own family's expectations loomed over him, suffocating yet familiar. "Do you ever feel trapped?" he asked, vulnerability spilling out. Joanie nodded, eyes bright yet laden with reality. "Every day. But I refuse to let that stop me. We all deserve to take up space in the world, to fight for the parks where families gather, not just let them be paved over by corporations." As the day drifted to twilight, Joanie's conviction sparked something deep within him. The tension of his dual existence tightened around him like a noose. Just then, the lively atmosphere outside the diner transitioned into a chaos of urgency. News broke that the beloved local park was slated for closure to make way for luxury condos. As the townsfolk rallied, Joanie became the heart of the movement. She stepped into her role as a leader, uniting everyone with her fierce hope and determination. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. In that moment, as tension electrified the room, Joanie and Tyler seemed to breathe the same air, filled with purpose. She was rallying the people, igniting a fire in their spirits, while Tyler absently battled the tug-of-war in his mind. Faced with loyal ties to family and the heartbreaking decision to walk away from the gilded cage of his past, he knew that something had to give. As the crowd buzzed with excitement, a delicate moment passed between them, thick with unspoken words and budding affection. The future shimmered like hope on a distant horizon, a future teetering on a knife edge of possibility. Would Tyler have the courage to stand up for what truly mattered? Or would he allow the expectations of his family to cloud the connection blossoming in that little diner? As Joanie's heart raced, a choice loomed, casting shadows over their intertwined destinies. The next day unfolded like a scene from a movie, but Joanie was living it in vivid color. The din of the diner was louder than ever as the townsfolk gathered early, minds buzzing with plans and worries about the park. Joanie moved through the space like a whirlwind, filling coffee cups and collecting scraps of conversation, her heart pounding with anticipation. Tyler returned, earlier than she expected. He looked different today, less polished, more human. The creases on his brow told her that he was already wrestling with the choices before him. He found a seat in the corner and his presence pulled on her like a magnet. She served him coffee, their hands brushing together briefly. The touch felt electric, igniting her hopes. "Have you thought any more about what we talked about?" he asked, his voice low, earnest. Joanie paused, the weight of her dreams pressing against her chest. Every moment. I can't abandon this place and the people who need it. But I also want more. I want to breathe, to explore. You deserve to, he replied softly, locking eyes with her. I see it. You light up this town in ways I never thought possible. The flame of connection between them flickered fiercely, and Joanie felt a rush of courage. And what about you, Tyler? What's your dream? His look faltered, the facade of confidence slipping. I don't know anymore. My family expects me to follow a path they laid out for me, a corporate powerhouse, a legacy. But sitting here I feel chained to it. The clatter of plates and laughter of regulars faded into the background as Joanie spoke her truth. Being tied to others' dreams can choke out our own. You need to decide who you want to be. His gaze drifted, and Joanie could almost see the wheels turning in his mind. What would it take for him to break free? The diner door swung open. A local activist burst in with wild eyes and breathless excitement. You won't believe what just happened. The city council heard us. They want to discuss our proposal tonight. The atmosphere shifted. Hope surged like the morning sun. Joanie, fueled by the news, turned to Tyler, determination in her voice. We have to be there. This is our moment. A plan ignited between them. Tyler's earlier reservations melted away as adrenaline took over. I'll call my contacts. We can rally the support we need. This place means something to more people than we realize. As they dashed back outside, the air was electric. Every heartbeat echoed a promise of change. Joanie sensed her dreams merging with Tyler's, the shadows of his family's expectations finally pushing him toward the light. With each footfall they could feel the community rising around them. Just as they reached the park, Joanie's phone buzzed with an alert. The city council meeting time had changed. Wait. We need to shift gears, she said, scanning the growing crowd that had gathered behind them. And in the blink of an eye, Tyler's phone rang. His family, urgent and demanding. The moment spiraled as he listened, tension twisting his features. Joanie, he started, but doubt hung thick between them, fraying the connection they had begun to forge. Tyler, you can't let them pull you back, she urged, desperation rising like tidewater. In that pivotal moment, everything teetered on the brink. Would he choose the comfort of expectations, or the thrilling unknown calling to him from Joanie's side? As the voices around them grew louder, one question lingered in the air between them. Could Tyler step into his own future, risking it all for something larger than himself? The tension in the air wrapped around them, thick and charged, as Joanie's fingers tingled over her phone screen. Tyler stood frozen, listening to the urgent voice on the other end, a looming shadow over the vibrant promise of change. Joanie's heart raced, each beat pushing against the wall of uncertainty building between them. What if this moment was slipping away? Joanie, it's my mom. She wants me to come home. She says they've set me up with a position at the firm and it's everything they ever dreamed for me. His voice faltered, struggling against tides of loyalty and longing. Tyler, she exclaimed, stepping closer, her voice fierce with determination. A position at the firm doesn't mean you have to give up on your dreams. You know what you said, sitting here feels like being chained. Don't let them dictate your life. Not now. His eyes searched hers, but uncertainty flickered like a candle's flame, vulnerable to any sudden gust. I don't know if I can just walk away from them, Joanie. It's my family. My legacy. Your life isn't just about a legacy, she said, urgency wrapping every word. It's about living your truth. What do you really want? The pulsating energy around them felt almost tangible, the crowd behind them swelling with excitement. A group of locals began to chant softly, "Save the park! Save the park!" The momentum grew, drawing Tyler in like fishing line being reeled in. His family's demands drifted further away, overshadowed by the vibrant hope of their community. I want to make a difference. I want to do something that matters, he finally confessed, almost like a prayer. That's the first step, Joanie encouraged, feeling hopeful surging within her. The oppressive weight of expectation shifted slightly, as if the air grew lighter. She took a deep breath, hoping to infuse him with her conviction. Let us go to that meeting. Together. We'll show them how much this means to us. Tyler's brows knitted, the battle in his mind evident. The call from his family rumbled in the background, but the louder voices of hope called to him now. With a decisive nod, Tyler hung up the call, his fingers trembling as he pocketed his phone. You're right. I can't do it alone. And maybe it's time I learned to stand on my own. Joanie's heart fluttered with joy, and a grin broke across her face. This was the moment the shared understanding forged in the heat of crisis. They turned together toward the gathering crowd, two souls ready to make their stand. As they stepped toward the clamoring voices, another twist emerged. A hush fell over the crowd, cutting through the chatter like a hot knife through butter. Joanie's gaze swung towards the front where a woman with a clipboard was signaling for attention. We need a representative to speak on behalf of the proposal, the woman announced, eyes scanning the crowd. Joanie, Tyler whispered, the surge of possibility electrifying the air. You should do it. Panic flooded her veins. Speak? In front of everyone? Yet the challenge buzzed like an electric current. Could she find the courage when it mattered most? Joanie took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of Tyler beside her. Okay, she said, determination flickering to life. This was the moment she had always dreamed of, her voice, her community. But as she stepped forward, something unexpected happened. A familiar face emerged from the crowd, eyes wide with recognition. It was her father, standing there with a look that froze Joanie in her tracks. Joanie, what are you doing? You can't. His voice trailed off, leaving a void filled with unspoken concerns. What was he afraid of? The crowd buzzed around her, each whisper mixing with the roar of her heart. Would the past chase her down even as she fought for her future? As she squared her shoulders, the weight of her father's gaze bore down on her. The future awaited, but the ghosts of her past also lingered. Joanie stood at the precipice of change, ready to leap. Would she find her voice amongst the many? Or would fear pull her back into the shadows once more? Joanie's heart raced, the air thick with unspoken words and a cacophony of emotions swirling within her. She stood there, caught between the anticipation of stepping into her role as a leader and the suffocating weight of her father's disbelief. The crowd was growing restless, an eager sea of faces awaiting her response. This was a pivotal moment, and her voice felt trapped, tangled in the web of her past. Get up there, Joanie, Tyler urged quietly, taking a step closer, his comfort anchoring her. You can do this. You owe it to yourself. Her father's eyes bore into hers, filled with a depth of concern that she had never noticed before. Why was it that he couldn't understand? She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. The chant rose and fell around her, drowning her thoughts in urgency. Save the park. Save the park. Taking a deep breath, she could feel every heartbeat echo through her body. This was about more than just speaking. It was about seizing her life, finally breaking free. I can do this, she whispered to herself, summoning every ounce of courage she could find. Then, breaking the silence, she took a step forward. I'll do it. The words burst out, startling even herself. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd, a mix of surprise and support. As she approached the podium, the woman with the clipboard gave her an encouraging nod. Joanie felt the warmth of Tyler's smile behind her, and it ignited a flicker of hope. This was her time. She could see her father's expression shifting, confusion now mixed with something else. Was it understanding? Hello everyone, she began, her voice shaky but assured. The crowd quieted, focused entirely on her. I'm Joanie, and I want you to know how much this park means to me and all of us. The words flowed out, fueled by passion and the raw urgency of the moment. She talked about community, about nature and connection. She poured her heart into every sentence, each phrase resonating with the crowd's collective dream to save what was theirs. As she spoke, Joanie caught glimpses of her father's face soften, the lines of concern easing ever so slightly. She pressed on, emboldened by the sea of supportive faces before her. This isn't just a park. It's our home. It's where families gather, where children laugh and play. If we lose it, we'll lose a piece of who we are. Cheers erupted. The sound enveloped her like a warm embrace. Finishing her speech, Joanie stepped back, dazed by what she had just done. She felt light, almost floaty, as if the burden she carried had been lifted. If only for a moment. The crowd erupted into applause, voices mingling in a joyous roar. Tyler rushed to her side, his eyes sparkling with pride. You were amazing. I knew you could do it. But even as congratulatory shouts swirled around her, Joanie's gaze drifted back to her father. He remained in the same spot, eyes reflecting a tumult of emotion. She felt the bond draw tight, A connection that had once felt frayed and distant. Would this moment change everything between them? Suddenly, just as she was about to approach him, a dark cloud settled over the gathering. A figure pushed through the crowd and Joanie's stomach dropped. It was the mayor's assistant, clipboard in hand, looking severe. "We have an urgent matter to discuss regarding this proposal." Fear gripped her. What did that mean? Would they take away her moment? Would her father's concerns return to overshadow her dreams? Just as Joanie felt her resolve beginning to waver, the assistant's piercing gaze locked with hers. The crowd fell silent again. But the resilience inside her sparked and ignited a flicker of hope. This was just the beginning. "Please," Joanie said, her heart pounding, ready to fight once more. But as the assistant opened her mouth, what would come next felt electric with possibility. What if this was the turning point she'd always been searching for? The assistant cleared her throat, and Joanie's heart raced anew. She was poised, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. The moment swung heavy in the air, waiting to be shaped by words. "We've been considering the proposal to turn this park into a commercial development," the assistant began, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. Joanie clenched her fists, ready to spring into action. However, due to community outcry, the words hung there, threading hope through the crowd. Joanie felt the energy shift, faces lighting with curiosity. "The mayor is open to discussions about preserving the park." A cheer erupted, rising from the crowd like a phoenix taking flight. Joanie's chest swelled with pride and disbelief. The fight wasn't over, but they had made a significant impact. It was a chance, but before the applause could fully sweep her away, the assistant raised her hand to quiet the crowd. "That's not all. We have an opportunity for you, Joanie. The mayor wants to meet with you to discuss your vision for the park." Hushed whispers rippled through the audience. Meet with the mayor? Joanie's mind spun. This could mean the whole community could rally behind her cause. The thought was jaw-dropping. Had she really stepped into a role where her voice could sway the future? She swiveled to look at Tyler, who was grinning from ear to ear. "You did it," he mouthed, eyes wide with pride. She could hardly believe it. The seeds she planted in that passionate speech were beginning to take root. But just as quickly, a new set of fears washed over her. What if she missed this chance? What if she wasn't good enough? Her father's presence weighed heavily in her mind. Would he be proud of her now? Thoughts of him standing there, conflicted, flashed through her. She turned to him, hoping to see encouragement, but his face remained unreadable. The assistant snapped Joanie back to reality. "We need your commitment, Joanie. This is your moment to influence real change." Joanie's heart quickened, adrenaline pumping through her veins. What was she waiting for? This was exactly what she had worked for. She took a deep breath, glancing at the expectant faces in the crowd, and then met her father's gaze. A flicker of something more profound twinkled in his eyes. Maybe he was beginning to understand her. "I'm in," she declared, her voice ringing out strong and clear. "I'll meet with the mayor. We'll do this together." Cheers erupted once more, this time thunderous, shaking the ground beneath her feet. Joanie felt a palpable shift within her, a swirl of ambition and purpose that felt different and exhilarating. This wasn't just about saving the park. It was about finding her voice, her purpose. But just as she began to absorb the weight of this new role, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, noticing an unfamiliar number. A knot formed in her stomach. Could it be someone connected to that commercial development? As she glanced back at the podium, a chill ran down her spine. "I have to take this," she said to Tyler, and he nodded, his excitement still present. Joanie stepped away, heart pounding again, this time from a mix of excitement and fear. She answered, breath hitching. "Hello." The voice on the other end sounded intense and hurried. "Joanie, you don't know me. But there's something important you need to hear about the park, something you can't ignore." Her heart sank. What did that mean? Was she standing on the edge of something bigger than she had ever imagined? With her world shifting beneath her feet, Joanie felt the weight of the moment settle in her bones. The fight was far from over, and it was just beginning to get complicated. What was hidden beneath the surface, waiting to spring forth? Joanie paced a few steps away from the crowd, her heart racing as she tried to process the caller's words. A million thoughts fought for space in her mind. Who was this person? What did they know that could change everything? "Hello?" Are you still there? The voice broke into her thoughts, pulling her back to the moment. Yes, I'm here, she managed to reply, her voice tremulous. I've been following the developments about the park, the voice continued, urgency threading through each word. There are plans being made that you need to know about, plans that could undermine everything you're trying to do. Joanie's breath hitched. What kind of plans? Listen closely. I can't say too much over the phone, but there are investors who have influence with the mayor's office. They are not going to let sentiment or community opinion get in their way. They're moving quickly to capitalize on your hard work, the voice warned. Joanie felt a twinge of panic. This wasn't just about her fight anymore, it was about corruption and greed threatening to exploit the very dream she was fighting for. Who are you? She asked, desperation creeping into her voice. Let us just say I have my reasons for wanting to see the park remain as it is, the voice replied cryptically. Meet me at the cafe on Main Street in 1 hour. I'll explain everything. You need to be prepared. Before Joanie could respond, the line went dead. She looked down at her phone, confusion wrapped tightly around her heart. There was no time to waste. She turned and briskly walked back to the crowd, scanning for Tyler. Tyler! She called, urgency in her voice. He spotted her and rushed over, a look of concern replacing his earlier excitement. What's wrong? He asked, furrowing his brow. I just got an alarming call about the park and I need to meet someone who claims to have insider information, Joanie said, her voice unwavering despite the turmoil inside her. I want you to come with me. Tyler nodded instantly. You're not going alone. Let me grab my jacket and we'll head out. As she waited for Tyler, doubt crept in. What if it was a trap? What if she was about to step into something dangerous? But this was bigger than her, bigger than she had ever imagined. She had to know the truth. Ready? Tyler asked, joining her with a worried glance. Let us go, Joanie replied, her determination ignited. They walked quickly, each step echoing the burden of the fate resting on their shoulders. The gravity of the moment pressed in around them, but the thrill of potential was equally compelling. When they arrived at the cafe, Joanie felt a whirlwind of anxiety and excitement swirl within her. They found a booth tucked in the back and waited. Minutes stretched and so did her nerves. What if they don't show? She murmured, glancing at her watch. They will, Tyler assured. You fought too hard for this. You've got this. Just then the door swung open. A figure stepped in, looking around, eyes landing directly on Joanie. Instinct kicked in. Every anxious breath amplified her curiosity about who would walk over to them. Sorry I'm late, the stranger said, sliding into the seat across from Joanie. We need to talk. Her heart raced. Who were they? What secrets would unfold? With the stakes rising higher, Joanie leaned forward, ready to change everything. What hidden truths awaited her? Would they strengthen her fight, or pull her deeper into a conflict she never expected? Thank you for coming, Joanie said, forcing a calmness into her voice despite the tremors of uncertainty that coursed through her. The stranger, a middle-aged man with tousled hair and earnest eyes, leaned across the table, locking his gaze on Joanie and Tyler. I'm sorry to drop this on you, but what you're fighting for is on the brink of being lost, he said, his voice low and steady. My name is Ricky. I've been working with community organizations for years, and I have been watching the developments surrounding the park closely. Joanie exchanged a glance with Tyler, who raised an eyebrow, silently prompting her to let Ricky continue. She nodded. Here's the situation, Ricky said, leaning in further. There are corporations interested in turning the park into a luxury condominium complex. They're prepared to use slick public relations tactics to convince the community that it's for the greater good. But it's all a facade. They want to maximize their profits, and they have the backing of key city officials. Joanie felt her stomach churn. She could almost see the park, vibrant and alive, being replaced with cold concrete and glass. But how do you know all this? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. I have a contact within the mayor's office, someone who can't publicly take a stand against the plans but has shared details with me. They fear what will happen if the park gets destroyed, especially with the upcoming elections, Ricky explained. They're counting on you to rally the community. You're their best hope. Joanie felt a rush of determination surging through her veins. What do we need to do? She asked, the urgency igniting her passion anew. Ricky pulled out a folder from his bag, spreading its contents on the table. Images of blueprints lined with detailed plans for the new complex stared back at her. Hear us what they're planning. They will start trying to secure permits for construction in the next few weeks. You need to mobilize the community now to make them aware of the real stakes. Tyler leaned over the table, glancing at the documents, disbelief flickering across his face. This can't be happening. How can they prioritize profit over the well-being of countless families? The park belongs to the people. It's a harsh reality, Ricky replied, his voice softening. But if you can gather enough support, get people out to voice their concerns at the upcoming city council meeting, you can make a difference. We have to chain the community's passion to the political action that's needed. Joanie's mind raced. She could envision the vibrant community meetings, hand-drawn banners and passionate speakers filling the room, rallying together for a common cause. We need a plan, she replied decisively. Ricky nodded approvingly. If we can get media attention, it could shift public sentiment in your favor. But you have to act fast. Time is against us. As they discussed strategies, a wave of optimism washed over Joanie. But it mingled with fear, the ominous truth of the struggle ahead looming like a storm cloud. What if we fail? She whispered almost to herself. Then we'll know we did everything we could, Tyler said. He reached across the table, squeezing her hand. We're in this together. Just then the cafe door swung open again. A commotion erupted as a group of reporters entered, cameras flashing, raising the tension in the room. Joanie's heart skipped a beat. Had they already caught wind of the plans? Ricky, what is happening? Joanie asked urgently, her pulse quickening. I don't know, he said, his brow furrowing as the reporters approached their table. Joanie felt an electric charge of both fear and excitement. Were they about to be thrust into the public eye? Or would this just become another chapter in the story of lost dreams? Joanie, a reporter called out, their camera focused on her. What can you tell us about the park's future? With her heart pounding, Joanie took a deep breath, ready to step into the fray. How much did they really know? As the questions fired at her, she felt the weight of the moment settling over her. Moment that could change everything. But just how would she respond? The camera clicked relentlessly, flashes lighting up Joanie's face as if she were standing under a spotlight. She blinked, trying to gather her thoughts. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, and the flicker of uncertainty danced in her mind. Did she really want to step onto this stage? But looking at Tyler, who nodded encouragingly, she knew she had to. The park. It's more than just trees and playgrounds. It's where we come together as a community. Joanie found her voice, raising it above the noise. It's where kids play, families gather and memories are made. We can't let anyone take that away. The reporters shifted, sharpening their focus as her words hung in the air, bouncing off the walls of the cafe and reaching the ears of the curious patrons. A ripple of murmurs grew, people leaning in, listening. It felt electric, her heart racing, her palms cold and clammy. What's your plan to stop this development? Another reporter shouted, pushing ahead. Joanie looked around for Ricky, who had retreated slightly, observing the chaos with keen eyes. Tyler leaned closer, whispering, just keep going. Speak from the heart. Together we, Joanie continued, her voice rising with fervor. Together we will fight to save our park. We'll organize community meetings. We'll collect signatures. We'll hold rallies. We need everyone's help. Our voices matter. The reporters scribbled notes furiously, the cameras capturing every moment. Joanie glanced at Tyler, a spark igniting between them, hope mingled with action, a shared determination that felt almost palpable. Applause erupted from a few tables, invigorating her spirit. Then she saw an older woman from the neighborhood, a regular at the park, standing in the corner, tears streaming down her cheeks. The sight made Joanie's heart swell with emotion. This was for her, for the woman who had spent afternoons in the park's shade, for the children who laughed and played. How can people support your efforts? A slightly softer voice asked. Breaking through the din, Joanie took a breath, her mind racing. Join us. Come to the city council meeting next week. We need as many voices as possible. Call your friends, spread the word online. This issue touches us all. The reporters were on fire now, capturing snippets of her words, piecing together the urgency of the situation. Joanie's nervousness faded, replaced by a wave of empowerment. Suddenly, one reporter waved his hand, urgency in his eyes. What's south the park called? It's south called Brookside Park, Joanie exclaimed, her passion spilling over. It's our sanctuary. Brookside Park. Remember it, folks. The reporter echoed into his microphone, ready to make it the headline. A collective buzz filled the cafe, conversations springing up about the park's future. Joanie took a moment soaking it all in. But her grounding moment was short-lived as the door swung open again. A figure stood silhouetted against the light, an attorney from the city, whom Joanie recognized. It was Angela, a fierce advocate with powerful connections. Joanie's pulse raced. Why was Angela here? The moment hung like a pendulum, uncertainty hanging in the air. Would Angela join their cause? Or was she here to put a stop to their momentum? Joanie tensed, uncertain of how this new twist would play out. The crowd steadied their gaze on the new arrival, anticipation palpable. What will she say? Joanie wondered, scrambling to figure out the next move as Angela stepped forward, her expression unreadable. And then, without warning, Angela spoke. I have important news about Brookside Park. Angela took a breath, the silence thick as syrup. Joanie's heart pounded. Her voice was steady but held a weight that made everyone lean in closer. I've been advocating for sustainable development in our city, and I'm here to inform you that a proposal is on the table. She paused, glancing around as if measuring the energy of the room for Brookside Park. The air crackled with tension. Joanie's stomach dropped. Proposal? What kind? She managed to ask, fighting to keep her voice steady. Angela continued, a development plan that includes condos and retail spaces. The city sees it as progress, but I know this community sees it differently. Gasps floated around the cafe, first from Joanie's friends, then from the patrons who had been tuning in. The older woman in the corner wiped her tears, her expression a storm of worry. Joanie felt the weight of every pair of eyes on her, as if they were collectively holding their breath. Progress? Joanie echoed, unable to hide the indignation creeping into her voice. What about the progress we could make by preserving a space that brings us together? A place for our kids to grow up? Angela nodded, her demeanor softening slightly. I agree. That's why I'm here. The more passion I see from this community, the more power I have to push against this proposal. But you need to be prepared. You'll need allies in the council. I'm willing to help, but you must rally the community to show that Brookside Park isn't just land, it's part of who we are. Joanie breathed in relief, the sincerity in Angela's words igniting a flicker of hope. We will. We'll make this community heard. She glanced around the room, noticing the heads nodding in agreement, people whispering amongst themselves, their resolve growing. Tyler leaned in, whispering, this could change everything. Joanie. Angela has serious influence. But what do we do next? Joanie questioned, anxiety bubbling inside her again. The reporters had shifted their attention toward Angela, the camera flares capturing her every move. She felt as if she were the center of a storm, and she needed a plan. Angela tapped the table, drawing attention back to her. Let us put together a community meeting. An official one. We need to gather everyone, have open discussions, and strategize. I'll invite council members so they can hear from you directly. Can we hold it at the park? Joanie blurted out, the idea sparking before she could second-guess herself. The thought of seeing everyone gather in their beloved park, uniting for its cause, filled her with determination. That's a brilliant idea, Angela nodded, and Joanie felt a rush of adrenaline at the support. With renewed energy flowing through her, Joanie envisioned the park alive with voices, friends, families, neighbors all rallying for something they cherished. But there was still one heavy realization that loomed, one question that had to be faced. The cameras were relentless, the questions countless, but amidst it all, Joanie wondered. What if they still didn't win? Could one meeting truly change the minds of those in power? As the crowd began to murmur excitedly about the plan, Joanie stood tall, knowing that this was only the beginning. Angela's presence had opened doors, but there were numerous challenges still ahead. She felt an electric charge in the air, but a part of her couldn't shake the fear of failure. Get ready, Angela encouraged, breaking through Joanie's thoughts. This fight is just heating up. As Joanie looked at everyone gathered in that cafe, she realized something. This was about more than just a park. It was about their future, their community, their lives. And she wouldn't walk away. The meeting was set. Details buzzing in her mind, she turned to Tyler, who looked both excited and worried. Are we really ready for this? Before Tyler could respond, one last voice pierced through the crowd. What if they still don't listen? They all turned towards the door, another figure stepping in, a stranger, wearing the logo of the development firm. Joanie's heart sank. Was this going to derail everything? Here we go, she muttered, gripping the edge of the table as the tension thickened once more. What now? The fire in Joanie's heart burned brighter than ever as she faced the unexpected newcomer. The representative from the development firm maintained a confident air, but the tension in the cafe shot through the roof. Joanie's stomach twisted. What would this person say? Just as he stepped forward, quieted curiosity rippling across the crowd, Joanie tightened her grip, determined not to back down. We need to hear what he has to say, she whispered to Tyler, who nodded, his expression a mix of concern and resolve. The man's voice rang out, smooth and cool. I'm here to clear any misconceptions about our plans for Brookside Park. We believe this development will enhance the community, bring more jobs, more revenue, and ultimately greater prosperity. Skepticism painted the crowd's faces, but Joanie pressed on. What's the cost of that prosperity? You're taking away a vital part of our community. Jobs aren't worth the loss of our home. The park isn't just space for profit. It's a sanctuary for families, a place for memories. A wave of murmurs rippled through the cafe, voices rising in agreement. Joanie felt a surge of hope as she looked around. The community was on her side, and it was their moment to rise. Yes, a voice shouted from the back, igniting a chorus of cheers. Joanie locked eyes with Tyler. Together they embraced the energy around them, solidifying a bond of purpose that only fueled their determination. The man shifted, a hint of disdain creeping into his demeanor. You can't fight progress. The council sees this as crucial for the town's development. We want to abandon our intentions, and we expect to move forward. Then you don't understand us. Joanie burst out, feeling every word weave through the crowd. The heart of this community lies here, in Brookside Park. We are the pulse that gives this town life. We will fight tooth and nail to keep it intact, not just as a piece of land, but as a memory bank for our children. The vibrations were electric. People stood, rallying around her words, their voices merging into a symphony of determination. Tyler clasped Joanie's hand tighter, her passion fueling his courage. As the cafe atmosphere thickened with passionate resolve, Joanie glanced towards the new figure. His confident facade faltered, shifting uncomfortably as the crowd's energy washed over him. This was their stand against complacency, against capital that overshadowed community. Then a familiar face broke through the chaos. Her father entered, bearing the weight of painful history but a look of determination. Joanie, he shouted, moving closer. I may not fully understand your fight, but I see how important this is to you. I want to support you. Joanie's heart fluttered at his unexpected declaration. Thank you, Dad, she said, her voice breaking with emotion. Suddenly, the distance that had defined their relationship began to shrink. This is about us, about what we value. Encouragement coursed around them, and the man from the development firm stepped back, clearly unequipped to face the fervor of a united community. Joanie! Joanie! The crowd began chanting, a growing tide of voices lifting her spirit higher. She felt every word wrap around her. This was her moment, her transformation, a beacon lighting up the dark corners of fear she had faced. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, ignoring the looming figure beside her. Stand with me, support with me. She lifted her arms, feeling the encouragement swell. Together, we will meet with the city council. We will present our case as a community, with heart and passion as our weapons. The room erupted, hands rising over heads, cheers echoing off the walls. The journalist cameras snapped at the clarity in her voice, capturing the energy coiling like spring around her and everyone present. The stranger turned, sensing the shift in power today was not about him but the community. The walls of corporate pressure pressed against him, and Joanie could see his conviction start to wear thin. You think they would listen? He scoffed, but no one was buying it. Not only will they listen, we'll make them understand that our community matters more than any plan. Tyler shouted, jumping into the frenzy. Joanie, this is your time. Make your voice heard. With unwavering resolve, Joanie turned back to the gathered crowd. She was no longer just a waitress. She was a leader, a daughter, and a voice of hope for her community. We will rise together. We will protect what is ours. For the families that need this park to thrive, for our children who play, laugh, and learn here. We'll show them what it means to be part of something alive. Cheers erupted, enveloping her like a warm embrace. Joanie closed her eyes, tears of joy forming. The connection was pure, the purpose crystal clear. She had ignited change, and there was no turning back now. As the meeting neared its end, Joanie stood with Tyler, hands intertwined, hearts swelling with hope and solidarity. The path ahead was uncertain, but they were ready to face whatever came together. Everything they had dreamed, everything they had fought for, was taking shape like the morning sun breaking the horizon, a new dawn for Brookside Park. This was it, a transformation for a community, and she knew deep within, they would not give up without a fight. And then she paused for a moment, thinking of those watching from behind the camera lenses, the countless lives in her community coming together. It wasn't just about a park. It was about life, legacy, and belonging. Let us share this with the world, Joanie declared, turning back to her newfound allies, and as they erupted into chants of unity, she knew they were destined to be heard. Now we need you to be a part of this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and grow our amazing community. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let your voice be heard. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. This is the moment to show your support. Together we rise.